Angelica Snowden is a business reporter with The Australian, and she's swung on to the biggest story in business right now. It's what's going on at WiseTech, which was raided on Monday by corporate watchdog ASIC and the Australian Federal Police. And what is allegedly going on at WiseTech?
So, Claire, what we know has happened, as you said, is WiseTech's headquarters was raided yesterday morning on Monday, along with a number of other addresses. We don't know where they are at this stage. We also know that this is part of an alleged insider trading investigation that the Federal Police and the Australian Securities and Investments Commission are investigating.
Okay, let's have a look at insider trading first. What is that?
Insider trading is a criminal offence, and it means essentially that uh, perhaps you're a member of the public or an executive. You obtain information that is not public, and you use that information to either buy or sell shares in a company. It's considered unfair, which is why ASIC, the corporate watchdog, is casting a very, very close eye on any allegations of this type. It's been identified as one of the regulator's key enforcement priorities this year.
Now, WiseTech's a really interesting company. It's a logistics business based in Sydney, founded by a former guitar technician and roadie called Richard White, who's himself a very colourful character. But let's just talk about what WiseTech actually is right now. It's a public company, which means people can own shares in it. They've released a statement revealing this raid. Why did they do that?
They are obliged to do that. It's interesting to note, however, they disclosed the raids about 24 hours after they happened. I've been told that this ordinarily could have occurred earlier. The announcement to the market could have occurred earlier.
And what's WiseTech saying about the allegations that are at the centre of the raid?
WiseTech is saying it understands no charges have been laid. It has said in its statement that the documents police were seeking were regarding alleged trading in WiseTech shares by Richard White and 3 WiseTech employees during the period of late December to early January this year.
Okay, now that brings us to the juicy part. Most people, if they know anything about WiseTech, know that late last year, Richard White, the founder, who's a big personality in Australian tech, he's a real advocate for homegrown tech businesses. He's campaigned very strongly for women to get jobs in tech. Allegations were raised last year publicly that he had essentially met some women on LinkedIn and offered them business advice or tips or perhaps mentoring in exchange for sex. It later emerged that there was also a relationship situation going on with him. Where did all that end up in terms of what Richard White was alleged to have done?
In the middle of last year, a Sydney-based entrepreneur, Linda Rogan, sued Mr. White in the federal court. She was seeking to have a bankruptcy notice set aside. He had tried to bankrupt her over claims that she was seeking $90,000 worth of luxury furniture for her house. What emerged was Richard White had allegedly bought Linda Rogan a $13 million mansion in Sydney as part of an arrangement where they would have sex and he would provide her with business advice. Following that court case, a number of other women came forward alleging very similar things happened to them with Mr. White, including the business advice in exchange for sex pact. WiseTech's board began an investigation. A law firm, 2 law firms, in fact, were asked to investigate these claims. And in February this year, parts of a report into that investigation were released. It did find Mr. White had misled the board twice over his intimate relationships with some women who had overlapped in their time with WiseTech. Mr. White stepped back from his job and resigned from WiseTech for a period of several months.
Yeah, it's important to say he's always denied any wrongdoing, and there's never been any allegation of criminality or even really dodgy behaviour sexually. He was married at the time, which obviously complicates things. A woman named Jenna Riches suggested that Richard White had started a relationship with her and then ghosted her. But it really had a huge effect on his standing, but it really had a pretty catastrophic effect on his own trajectory, didn't he? This guy was a real titan of the Australian tech scene.
Absolutely. And I think it is interesting to know that although these allegations emerged and they were investigated, he's temporarily stepped down. Ultimately, he has returned to the company as executive chairman. And I think the thinking has been that ultimately nothing's really changed. I suppose he hasn't really lost much out of this saga in the end.
Yeah, he stepped back as CEO, accepted a new title, which was founding CEO, that came with a $1 million salary. But it seemed like the board of WiseTech, wasn't really coping. Several members of the board resigned. Now there are allegations that it was during that period when he was ostensibly standing back that he traded these shares. If he did do that, what would be the problem with that?
If he did do that, that was during a what's called a blackout period. This is a period where key personnel of a company are not allowed to engage in any selling or buying of shares. And that is in large part to prevent alleged insider trading from occurring.
It's a really interesting example of something they call founder risk, isn't it? Particularly in startups, where the founder is a big character. Often they're an entrepreneur, they're a visionary. Sometimes that comes with colourful behaviour and a dramatic life, but their presence is integral to the success of the business. In this case, he built it from nothing to a $40 billion company. And when he stepped back, the share price fell.
Mm.
It seems to me like any way he handled this, it would have been bad for WiseTech, because just not having him there as the boss, the shareholders didn't like it.
I think it's fair to say that over the last 12 or so months, the company has performed well. We've had an AI boom. It's certainly performed well off the back of that. However, we have observed in periods where the court case and those other allegations were occurring, there has been dives in the share price. And indeed, today on Tuesday, about $5 billion has been shaved off the WiseTech's market value as a result of subsequent allegations.
It might be a good time to buy, Ange, if you've got any cash lying around.
Perhaps.
What do we think of the next steps from here?
ASIC doesn't take these actions lightly. Insider trading is the most serious offence according to the Corporations Act. It tracks a penalty of 15 years jail for individuals who are found guilty of insider trading. WiseTech only used to get great publicity, but it seems that the drama is here to stay now.
Angelica Snowden is a business reporter with The Australian. Thanks, Ange.
Thank you, Claire.